Twitch page. Take a drink. Alright. And I'm assuming that we're good. So, hello everyone, this is Chris Ingerson, and it is June 8th, and this is the June 8th TextQuest Devstream. So, today we're going to be continuing where we left off on Tuesday, except we won't get hamstrung, hopefully, by something incredibly stupid that I can't solve for 45 minutes. I'm not bitter about that experience whatsoever. Anyway, so today we're going to be handling character interactions, specifically conversations with NPC characters. And even more specifically, we're going to be dealing with the troll in the sewers level, which is the second level of the game. Now, currently, we have the troll set up enough that we can actually interact with it. Maximize on play. So we can actually interact with the troll, ask it specific things. Hold on. I'm going to mute audio just so that you don't have to hear the trickling in the background. Ooh, that was weird. There's a lag there. A little bit of lag there too. Weird. Alright, anyway. So we can say things like, talk about king. It'll talk. We can say, ask to move. And we'll get this. Now, the ask to move stuff is something that wasn't working on Tuesday because of basically a validation check. Ask is a verb, as is move, and a sentence cannot have two verbs. Even in regular language, I don't really think that a proper sentence will have more than one verb, unless you're talking about weird situations. So the way the parser was set up is if it detects that more than one verb has been used, it's going to basically say there were too many verbs in that sentence. However, there is now an explicit check that says if the first verb is a verb meaning speak, which in this case ask and talk are both verbs in the speak class, and that would be a cat meowing, then you can have more than one verb because the second verb is going to be basically a keyword, not an actual action. So, for example, in the sentence, when we're breaking down context, talk about king, we're not actually talking to the king, and we're not telling the king to talk. We ourselves are talking about a king. Just like when we say ask to move, we're not asking the move, and we're not moving to ask. We are asking our subject to move. So, this is actually pretty nice. I don't know if you guys can see I think you guys can see my mouse whenever I have it over here. Either way, it feels a lot more satisfying gesturing with the the crosshairs. In any case, go back here. Yeah, now I'm going to have that following me everywhere. So we have a couple of enhancements to make today. First off is we're going to be going over the, well, actually it's probably not going to be the first thing we do. It's probably going to be the second or third thing. So one of the big things we have to do today is we have to look at our parser and actually hammer out more of how we want to handle these phrases. Because for the most part, I'm comfortable saying that the first verb has to be a speaking verb in order to get special treatment, because you're not going to say move to ask or something like that. That doesn't really make sense. However, we do get into a weird situation with the word please. Please is an adjective, or not an adjective, an adverb. So when you say, would you please do this, it's not a verb, it's an adjective. However, shorthand, you can, if you're talking to someone, you can say, please move. And please move should be the same contextually as saying, talk about moving, or ask to move. But please is an adverb. And in fact, it's the only adverb I think that I have right now. I have a identification for adverbs, but I never actually use them. I don't have anything besides please that's an adverb in the dictionary, because you can't really, all adverbs do is modify the verb, and there's no real way to modify verbs in TextQuest. It doesn't make sense. Like if you tell someone to move quickly, in regular conversation, it means you want them to move faster, but it doesn't make sense to say pick up quickly because they're instant, or pick up slowly because, again, it's instant and there's no real reason for it to be longer. So adverbs are kind of not really a thing as far as TextQuest is concerned, except for please. Because please, you need to be able to do this. Wow, that was just terrible spelling. Of course, it's not going to recognize please right now. Which brings us to the first thing we probably need to do, which is update our dictionary. Which I've already updated the dictionary with a bunch of words. But I actually have to import it. So let's go to design, dictionary, and let's go ahead and set this up. Oh, and while we're here, you know what'll be fun is it's only the first 15 minutes. It's probably going to take like 2 seconds to do what I want to do here. Let me minimize some stuff real quick. And dictionary, data, dictionary. There we go. It might be nice to actually, whenever we update the dictionary, have it spit out a list of words that were added. So that's going to be actually a little bit more complicated than I was thinking, but we'll figure that out. So it shouldn't take more than 15 minutes, and it'll be a nice little feature for me. Anyway, so let's go ahead and come down here. Gonna go to our add-ons, open up our JSON exporting. We're not going to export all sheets, we're just going to export most of them. Don't need notes. Let's see, replace existing files. Unwrap row sheets, don't care about that, don't care. Don't export columns with prefix, don't care. For string values, don't think that really matters. Export cell arrays is fine. Export sheet arrays is fine. And I'm pretty sure that that's all we need to do. Visualize it real quick. I think I actually might need to export cells and columns with prefix as array. Also have checked. Man. That takes a while. Jeez. Alrighty then. So let's see here. If we scroll all the way to the bottom, so that's words. Yeah, so we need the, yeah. Alright, so let's go ahead and check that off. Hit export. So we'll let that do its thing. Nope, and it finished right as I said that. Download dictionary.json. And now we get some fun stuff. So let's go ahead and show in Explorer. I'm going to replace these two things. Show in folder. Replace. And let's go back here. Alright. So real quick, I'm going to go ahead and say update. That was... Never mind. That was not what I meant to do. Whoops. Well, okay. I delete this file already? No, I didn't. Well, good. Then we're just going to do this. That was completely against what I meant to do. Let's see. I want to reset dictionary, which is right here. Alright, let's go ahead and update this. Wait, what? 598. How did the other one have less words? That doesn't make sense. Well, then we're about to find out some fun stuff. Let's replace this again. I don't actually want to update it because that does what that button does. I wanted to edit script. Ugh. Sometimes you feel quite silly. In any case, let's see here. So, we're not going to call it clear. And instead, we're going to say... This is going to be a little bit of an oddity, but... You want a string builder? Yeah, probably. So, this is more for my own convenience, and I'm kind of more just curious to see what this looks like. So, using system.text... We're going to call string builder log text is equal to new string builder, nothing. Or I guess it'll actually be, let's go ahead and say words, new line. Words colon, new line. And then before we clear out all of our information, we're going to have to do a couple of things. We're going to need a list of, oh dear, dear, oh dear. Do I really want to do that? I guess I'm going to have to. So we're going to say list of TQ words. Word list is equal to new blah 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 dot add range words. You don't like that? Can I not do that? Nah, I can't do that. Ah, goody. So that's going to double the length of everything. So real quick, let's just go ahead and get these things out of the way. List TQ homage list equals new blah 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 list TQ synonym thesaurus list is equal to new blah blah blah. And what we're doing here is we're just going to basically take a catalog of what we currently have, and when we update everything, we're going to basically compare them and then output the words that we added. And this is more just kind of an amusement thing to see what was added whenever we update anything. So it's not really a functional thing, and this is certainly not something that ever needs to happen in-game, but it's kind of useful on the dev end, just to make sure that everything's running properly. So let's see. Once we have that, we're going to say word list dot add range words homage list dot add range homages, and then thesaurus list dot add range thesaurus. Alright, now we can clear everything and it won't matter. And next, we get the fun part. Let's see here. Now that we can actually compare that, we're basically going to have to do a couple of weird things. Let me think real quick. How do I want to do this? Definition from JSON. What does this even contain? It contains a phrase and an output. All right. You know what? We're already going through here. It might just be easier to do this. So instead of saying add range, we're going to make these all lists of strings. All right. And we're just going to say for int I equals 0, I is less than words dot count. Yep. I plus plus. And let's see here. We're going to say word list dot add words of I dot word. All right, simple as that. And let's cut, paste that 2 more times. Change this to homage list. Thesaurus list. That's a hard word to say. Thesaurus list. Thesaurus. And this one is not going to be word, is it? Or I guess it will be word. Well, that's convenient. This is going to be homage. And homages dot phrase, I believe is what we want there. All right. So once we're done with this, we're going to be able to go up here, and then we'll say, man, doing so much worse. All right. Let's see here. Yeah, I guess I'm just going to have to populate it and then compare it all again. Gross. Yeah. If this is incredibly unperformant, we'll probably just delete it. But it's a good exercise to warm up for the day. Something that I wanted to do anyway. So let's see here. We're going to say for int I is equal to 0. Actually, I guess we'll just go ahead and copy these guys now, won't we? Okay. Copy those guys. And at the end here, we're going to say debug.log log text.toString. Alright, and in between these, I'm going to be doing log text.append. And we're going to have thesaurus, colon, new line. Grab this. At the end of this, we're going to do append homages, new line. Okay. And all we're going to do here is say if words list why do you not show up? Oh, because it's word list, not words list. Word list not contains words of I dot word. Then we'll say log text dot append. We'll have a new line character, then words. Oops, what is going on here? Words of I dot word plus new line. Alright, simple as that. And then we're going to copy paste that a couple of times. Thesaurus list dot contains, and instead of words, it's going to be thesaurus of I dot words. Alright, and one more thing, which is going to be append homages phrase, and then this is going to be homage list. Oh, and oh, right. Oh. Sorry, hold on. Homages dot phrase, then homage list. There we go. I almost forgot my if it doesn't qualifier there. Alright, so we should be good now. Let's give it a spin. I'm confident. Pretty confident. Let's go ahead and close that. Gotta compile. And while it's doing that, take a drink. Alright. Let's go ahead and clear these out, and let's hit update. That's 598. We got a null reference, that's interesting. How do we have a null reference? Interesting. Let's see, so the last word we get to is XIX. Okay. Oh, I know what happened. I know what happened. I so foolishly thought that I didn't have to do 4 string values, but I do. I have some numbers as the words. In case you type 1, it's going to recognize it as 1. Ugh. Of course I did that. I am a fool. Alright, let's get rid of that dictionary file. Download this one. And then we should be able to update it. Alright, let's try this again. Place file. Alright. Go up here, collapse this. There we go. And there were all of the fun things, I guess. So words, blah, 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 homages. Yeah, so that's all technically correct. One more time, though, I am going to undo this dictionary because I would like to make sure that it is correct. So let's go ahead and undo Dictionary.json. Okay, so that'll revert that. Now we can update this again. Curious to see what that does. Nothing. Okay, so yeah, it's going to print nothing if there's nothing there. So now we can replace those two files again. Well, that one file. Check it, and it will hopefully actually give us useful information. There we go. So, words, homages, and then thesaurus. So we got nothing new in homages or thesaurus, which is correct, but we did get new words. I actually like that. That's actually very useful information. Let's go ahead and, while we're in there, just do a little bit of quick cleanup. New line before the homages, new line before thesaurus, so it's a little bit easier to read. And that's pretty much it for me after that. I think we're good. So, alright, let's go ahead and close that dictionary. We don't need it anymore. Go ahead and get rid of JSON object. We don't need that. Alright, so, getting to where our actual goal for the day is, NPC conversations. There are a couple of things that I want to do today. Let's go ahead and jump back in to show you the system. So currently, whenever you interact in any meaningful way with the troll, you're going to get a speech text. What did I call them? Text, not text effects. Text section, which is basically, you know, the types of words that show up whenever you interact with something. Dear God, really? Does it take this long for it to start playing? Something about the sewers, man. This is really bad. Also, this is not good that I can select stuff like this. That usually means there was an error. Oh dear. Oh, this stupid thing. So, fun fact, right now, I've had this error happen to me before, or I guess it's not really an error so much as a bug. It's going to stay compiling forever until I do this. Now that I've right-clicked, it's going to finish compiling, and it's going to play. Now, your guess is as good as mine as to why that error happens. I do not, for the life of me, know. Alright, let's go ahead and do this. So, a terrible troll. So right now, if I just say talk, it says the troll does not respond. And that's because I haven't talked about anything. So it doesn't really care. And this is fine. This is actually what I would like to have happen. It just gives you your standard text effects. You know, nothing special, no rumble, no color, just default. However, if we say something like, talk about rocks, troll stares blankly at you. Oh, wait, no, that one's correct too. Okay, so that works. Now we have to get into situations like this. So we have talk about King, Max's friend. Now this has quotes, which means that it's speaking, and that's actually correct. Anytime they talk, they should get a text effect. If it's an action, like ask to move, then we shouldn't have this effect. We should actually have the default effect because, again, the character isn't saying anything. And I would like to reserve the speech sort of movement and text effects reserved for when they're talking, not when they're doing something. So we need to actually differentiate between speech successes that cause action, which is what the bottom one here is, and speech successes that cause talking, which is what this top one is. God, that's a really hard phrase to say in sequence. Get a lot of S's, which I'm sure sounds great on the mic. In any case, so that's one of the things that I would like to do today, and my guess is that that won't be too terrible, but it will probably involve adding some information to the spreadsheets. So currently, let's go ahead and go to our interactions and our interactive object template. This is the spreadsheet that all interactive objects sort of derive their spreadsheets from. So if we go over here to character, we have 5 distinct fields that are used to populate those conversations. We have the ID, which is a data ID that will be set to true when it's done, or whenever you speak about these specific words that are flagged in JA, which is a keyword used to force the export of a JSON array. So whenever you use these words, if this ID is set to anything but none, it's going to be set to true in the session. So we could have it be like troll moved. That would be set to true whenever you use the specific phrase. Use quotes means that it's determining basically if it's talking like this or if it's an action like this. Speed is how fast we want the words to show up. So that's just a float value. We don't really care too much about it. And then the output is what it says. So if we go to our intro, sewer, enemies, Haas, and we look at the character tab for it, we should have 3. We have none. This first row is always basically going to be used when you don't specify anything. So as you can see, we have talk about rocks, the troll stares blankly at you. This is the ultimate fallback sort of thing, basically, where if you use words that it's not looking for, it's just going to say the object stares blankly at you. However, I am kind of curious as to why we just get a default value if there is no verbs. Or if there's no subject. So I actually didn't expect the troll does not respond to be this output. I was actually expecting the troll stares blankly at you if you just type talk. Which means that there's some oddity in how those checks are happening. And that's the other big part of tonight, is we're going to be examining how talking is handled, because it's not handled very elegantly right now. I can definitely tell you that. It's got its problems. So that's a whole other thing that we're going to have to be looking at. But anyway, back on subject. I guess I could actually just have it be dictated by this use quotes. So if it's going to use quotes, then it's going to give it the text effect, and if it's not going to use quotes, then it won't. So let's go ahead and stop playing. Take a look at our inspector. This is our unknown phrase. So again, if you use if you use a word if you use no words that it recognizes. That's a terrible way to phrase it. Actually, you know what? Something I forgot to test. I don't actually remember what happens right now if you use 2 words that it recognizes. I think it picks the first one, which probably means that we need to have priorities or have a confusion state if you talk about more than one thing at a time. So if we talk about king and what was the other one? Move. Oh, interesting. So, wow, that like completely broke. That's interesting. It must have split that in half. I'm actually curious. Hold on. Huh. Interesting. It just kind of stops. All right. Anyway, what triggered there was the text output for what happens if you try to move, which means that we're probably going to get a different result if we do this. Talk about move and king. Interesting. It didn't. That's not what I was expecting. I was actually expecting an error to crop. Nope, that's correct. So that's expected. So the way compound sentences work in TextQuest, which compound sentences are just, sentences that have and in them basically, or before, or then, conjunctions, I believe is what they're called. In any case, any language or any sentence with a conjunction in it basically gets split into parts wherever there's a conjunction. So this is not just one sentence, it's actually 2 sentences. It's talk about move and king. Now, king itself is just a noun, there's no verb, and when that happens, the sentence is going to look backwards to see if it can find a verb, in which case it's going to use the first verb it finds, which will be talk, and then it's going to apply that to the sentence. So in that case, the parser actually split the sentence into two, which were both correct. So it split it into the first sentence, talk about move, and then it split it into the second sentence, talk king. So we got everything correct. Okay, so that was unexpected. However, that didn't work on the first one, because talk about king is one sentence and splits it up. Then we get move. Move is a verb, and since there is a verb, it's not actually going to look for the previous sentence's nouns. Instead, it's going to assume that you're trying to move the thing you're interacting with. And then if you weren't interacting with anything, then it would try to, loop through everything. So that means that this sentence got split into two sentences: talk about king to the troll, and move troll, which is why we got Max's friend for talk about king, and then Sir Garamond de Claude once tried to move a troll forcefully. He gained the nickname, and I don't know why it breaks here. That's a little worrying. In fact, I'm actually kind of curious to see if it's broken here. So let's look at move output. It is. We'll have to look at that and see why that's broken, but not tonight. That's just a mental thing to note. In any case, so we got some oddities there. That's great. Talk about move and king. I bet this is an escaped quote problem. Don't worry about it. Let's see here. So let's go ahead and go to our logic for characters. Let's see, we have character here. And let's look for speak prefab. Alright. So if the phrases contains the word, output result, we can give it a prefab. Alright. Let's go ahead and say phrases I dot, do I have it, use quotes? Yes. Question mark. Speak prefab. Otherwise, we're actually going to pass null, which I believe means that it's going to use the default. Maybe. Let's find out. Yes. Okay. So with that one line of change, that one line change, we should actually have a system that will put us right next, or what am I talking about? Sorry. That will do what I want to do. Basically, only when a character actually talks will they get the speak prefab. Let's go ahead and hit play. Oh god, it's bugging me. Hold on. Let's see. I believe we want graphics. There we go. Sorry, my anisotropic filtering was apparently set to 0. Oh my god. I get it. Microsoft, do you have a OS update for me? In any case, so let's see. What did we want to do? We wanted to talk about king. Good. Ask to move. Yes! There we go. So now we get our default options here, or our default text presentation. Nothing special, which again is desired because we only want the speech effects when it talks, or when anything talks. So, yay, that's one thing taken off the list today. But now, anyway, to some of the earlier things I was talking about, man, today I'm very sorry. For some reason today I seem to be just jumbled in terms of thoughts. I'm jumping left and, back and forth across a bunch of stuff. Hopefully we'll straighten out as time goes on. Don't know what's up with me today. In any case, so now that we have please in our dictionary, we can do this. Please move, which, that's interesting. I didn't think that I had checks for adverbs. Please should have been flagged first. Hold on. This is interesting. Let Let me see what my dictionary thinks please is. Also, I apologize if you're paying attention to the words in the dictionary because there are some swear words. They are needed to know what the obscenities are. Please. Word type is mixed. It's not the only word that's a mix. Light. Light should be handled like that. Hold on. Light. Yeah, light is a verb and a noun. Let me change how parser detects those things. Let's see. This could be the problem. No, this is good. Possible verbs. Okay, let's go ahead and do a little bit of quick debugging. Let's see. Put results, debug verb has been set to no. So I'm going to go ahead and say debug.log sentence of I.word. All right. And let's see if verb count is equal to 0, and cache nerve. There's no verb in that sentence. Let's see if verbs is greater than 0. Don't really care about that. Possible verbs counts greater than 0. Sentences verb is equal to null. Then we'll set the first possible verb. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. So this should actually let us set that value now. And then we'll be able to look at it. We'll at least be able to see if it's even adding it to the list of possible verbs, which for some reason it apparently didn't, or our parser just failed miserably. So let's go ahead and let's just type please here. There were no verbs in that sentence. Interesting. Let's put a debug in here. Debug.log. Alright. Debug.log. Validating plus sentence of I'm sorry, sentence of I.word. Alright. I'm curious. I guess I'll also put this in here. I don't think it's getting set up there. I seriously doubt that. Plus true verb. Possible verb. Alright. Let that compile. Take a quick drink. And then rule the world. I believe that is the appropriate order of events. Alright. So, gotta let all of our materials build, and then let's go ahead and say please. There were no verbs in that sentence. What? Oh, I know what's happening. We're not even getting to set verb. We're actually getting to here. There we are. There were no verbs in that sentence. Here we are. I need to change this to dot contains. This probably means I'm going to have to change how my validation happens, because this validate sentence is kind of not needed, or maybe I shouldn't do the verbs check here because it's checking for verb specifications in two different spots, and that's going to cause problems. So while this fix might correct the please problem, it's probably going to introduce a problem with light. I'm willing to bet. So let's take a look at that real quick. Once it compiles. There we go. Okay, there we are. Let's give it a couple of seconds to have it finish the material building, and then we're going to do this. Please. What would you like to please? Wow, that did not... that has some unfortunate implications. Maybe I shouldn't have... Oh dear. That's not quite good. So, again, what would you like to talk? Yeah. Please is treated as a speaking verb, but... that was... I didn't even think about that. That was kind of amusing. Let's see. Right. I'm terrified now of what people will try to do when they see that phrase. Oh no. That's terrifying. Okay. In any case, so we can do stuff like please move. Not move. Move. Not move. Would you like to move? Right. Oh yes, and in this case, we have the correct expected behavior. Please should be treated as an adverb when there is a second verb. Which is unfortunate because this phrase right here, please move, is the same as saying ask to move or ask move. So we don't actually want it to be treated as an adverb here, but we would want it to be treated as an adverb here. Self. I don't know. Yeah. So so yeah, just in three short phrases, I can show you the problems. So we have please move, and ask to please move. These are all three valid sentences. Top one is actually kind of weird, but the second and third one are the ones I expect more people will do. So we have some problems because please is an adverb when there is a verb after it, and that should be expected unless it's being treated as a verb, meaning speaking. So please move is the same, should be the same as say move, or not say move, yes, talk move or ask move. But here it's being treated as just move with the modifier for please. Whereas the second one, ask to please move, please would be redundant as a speaking verb, and therefore should be treated as an adverb to move. And then we also have another problem, which is this. Ask to move, please. Same thing. Please should not be treated as a verb. Instead, it should be treated as an adverb for move. Now, we're actually getting a lot of sort of pass-through here because of the ask at the top. I bet if we did this, move please. Oh, that actually worked, I guess. Never mind. Although this this becomes even worse because now we have move please, which should be treated the same as saying ask to move, except please comes after move, and therefore the parser is just not equipped to deal with it. Now, oh geez, this is so crazy. This is a rabbit hole. Who would have thought that one word would just break me? So we have some potential problems. That would be, jeez. Please move, ask to please move, ask to move please, and move please. Oh, jeez. Okay. And I'm getting semantic satiation just by looking at please so much. Almost makes me think that I spelled it wrong. Please tell me I didn't spell please wrong. I'm pretty sure I didn't spell please wrong. Good. I did not. But it after looking at it so much, it makes me think I did. Great. So how do we want to handle it? Right now, the way the parser is handling speaking is if the first verb is a speaking verb, it's going to treat everything else as keywords. Which, maybe that's not the worst idea. Jeez. Okay. But that still doesn't solve this problem of move please. Move please should be treated as please move, which itself should be treated as ask to move. So, geez. This will not work as well as I would like. So the reason that please move is detecting move as the verb instead of please is because please is not a pure-blooded verb. The way the parser breaks down verbs is when it's trying to detect what the sentence is, or what the verb of a sentence should be, it will loop through all of the words, pick out all of the words that are just verbs, and then it will also pick out all of the words that are verbs and something else. And that could be something, like light, which is a verb and a noun because you can light something on fire or you can turn off the light. Or it could be something, in this case, like please, which is a verb and an adjective. Not an adjective, an adverb. Because when you ask someone to please do something, you're asking them to do that thing, please. It's a polite gesture. But please is treated as a speaking verb because when you say please move, you're specifically telling someone to move. But again, because the way the parser is set up, it's not going to detect that. Which means that I need to have the parser pick the first pure-blooded verb unless a non-pure verb it comes before it that is a verb of type speak. In which case, it needs to use that word. Jeez. Okay. Man, this is really frustrating. Please move. Ask to please move. But then we have situations like this where ask is actually a pure verb. So we don't even need to consider this because this should be treated like an adverb in that case. And then it should just be used as a modifier. And I think it's actually kind of convenient. I don't really need to do anything extra for adverbs in my system. It's kind of just going to ignore them. So, fortunately, I don't have to do anything special for please in terms of the parser. But, oh, jeez. Let's see here. Ask to move. Ask to please move. Those are valid sentences. And they're both technically happening correctly, I believe. Let's go ahead and run over to the troll and try interacting with it that way. Alternatively, I think I could do something like this. Ask self to move. And yeah, it's just going to say I can't do that. So, ask to please move. Okay, so that's correct. Please move, which is going to give us that. Move, please, will also give us that. Please, troll is not. Jeez, that is so terrible. I don't know if I want to leave it in like that. It's just, there's so many ways to interpret that phrase, and I'm legitimately concerned. Okay, like that pairing was also just terrible. The troll does not respond to you attempting to please it. It's not that type of game. Let's see. So, it's correct if please is not the verb. It really sucks having a parser that's hard, that's going to be kind of bent to fit this weird case. I feel like there's a more universal ruling that I could try to use, but I kind of can't. So, Oh, and by the way, the error that I was talking about, or I had concerns about, with regards to making that validation change is basically, I think it's going to be this. Let's see. Burn light. Yep. So if we say burn the light, there are too many verbs in that sentence. Instead of saying I don't see a light around here, which is problematic. So if I were to change this back, basically. Oops. So let's go ahead and go back here. You'll see what I mean. Oh boy, it's just a day of sort of odd existential thinking. Not really existential, but sounds good. So now if I say burn the light, I'm going to say I don't see a light around here. That's what it should be. So that means that I can't actually check if it contains verbs. That means I probably really should just take validation, or at least verb validation, out of validate sentence. Because the point of validate sentence is just to do a broad sweeping check to make sure that it's somewhat grammatically correct. But I don't think that it's going to work right now. Especially because I already have checks like this. Verb is speak. And if you have more than one verb and the verb is, and one of those verbs is a speaking verb, the validation is just going to ignore any extra verbs that you have. It won't break. So I don't particularly think that this is a good valid check. It's also really weird that I have 2 for loops here, but it seems like wasted space. I feel like I could just move this up and say else if. Okay, don't know what was up with that. Weird oversight on my part. So, yeah. Harumph. Oh, weird. It looks like I was doing it in one for loop before. Huh. That's odd. Okay. Let's see here. So, there is a real problem, I think, in having the sentence validate its verbs here. It's not going to want to do it. I mean, I could ignore... well, no, that's really not going to work. If I do just have it look for pure verbs here, then it's probably fine. It just... There could be sentences where you speak gibberish, like... or ask to move jump, or ask to move grab. And technically the game would be fine with that. It would just say, what would you like to ask that? And it doesn't really make sense. So I don't know if I should change that. What if we did this? If if not verb is speak, or verbs are greater than 2, I believe. In both those cases, we probably want to say there were too many verbs. So that's one validation that will work. And to just get a sense of that, let's go ahead and test that out. Although I do think that we're going to run into problems as far as validation goes for the whole adjective verb thing. But that's fine because we haven't really touched that yet. I'm still trying to figure out, God, how to make that elegant. I really don't want to have a weird exception for please. So we can say ask to move grab. Good. Ask to move. Ask to grab. Okay. Ask to please move. Okay. Good. So by only linking pure verbs to the count, I think we're fine. And again, it's largely fine because of the whole, if a word is not only a verb but a noun and there are other verbs, then most likely the other verbs are the thing you want to do. Like for example, move the light. Light is a verb, but it's also a noun. Since move already exists, then we know you're not trying to light something probably. Instead, you're probably trying to move a physical thing that is called a light. So asking to please move. Treat please as an adverb in this case, so we're just saying ask to move, basically. Okay, so that's all correct still. But now we get into the weird stuff, which is the actual verbs and determining what to do. Now, oh boy. What to do about this? So again, the way that this is going to happen right now, it's going to loop through the entire sentence, check for pure verbs, check for partial verbs, keep a list of both. When we get to the end there, if we don't have either verbs or possible verbs, and we don't have a cached verb, which just means we didn't use a verb in our last complete sentence, then we're just going to say there were no verbs in that sentence. We don't care. If there was more than one verb, then right now, that verb would take precedence. It's going to say, set the sentence verb to be this verb, and we're going to do whatever. However, you'll notice we do have a special check here. God, I have the hiccups. Sorry. And this special check is going to say, if our verbs count is greater than 1, which means that we have more than one verb, and our first verb, our first pure verb, is not of the type verb speak, then we have a problem. Now, this already presents a couple of problems because, one, we don't know that the word is going to be a pure verb for the speaking verb. Two, we don't know necessarily that the speaking verb is going to be the first verb. And three, this completely ignores potential verbs. So verbs like please. This is crazy. So this check is no longer a valid check. Instead, we have to figure out how to basically say if there are more verbs than one. No, actually, see, here's the thing. I'm trying to think of sentence combinations that would make grammatically correct sense. So again, move please and please move both mean the same thing. They both mean move please. In the game, however, they are meant to be interpreted as ask to move, as opposed to no matter which order they're in. If you say move please or please move, it should both of them should be treated as ask to move. So in that case, we need to do something weird. However, in the situation of ask to move, it doesn't make sense for you to say move to ask. Actually, that kind of does, but in a weird way, because move to ask would be the same as just saying ask. That's using move as in like a legal, I motion for this. But in any case, oh my gosh, this is just such a weird brain twist. I was thinking about this all of yesterday, and I didn't think it would be this bad. I thought of mostly the surface stuff, though. I didn't think of the actual meat and potatoes of it. So, let's see here. So we can't basically do this at all. Instead, we need to, I think, after we get all of our verbs and our possible verbs, so right here, I think we need to loop through all of our verbs and all of our possible verbs and say if one of them is of type speak, then this entire sentence is going to be treated as a speaking sentence. So I'm trying to think, again, grammatically, of a weird phrase that could be asked. So normally I think most people are going to say ask to move or ask to X. But you might also be, you're also going to get a couple of things like talk about X or talk about Y. But then you might have people who try to flip that and say like, so talk about king might become king talk about, or king talk, which is weird because that actually makes me think that you're trying to talk king. Not really like talk about a king, but rather you're trying to talk like a king. King talk. So grammatically that doesn't make sense. But also, if that pops up, it's going to probably say, most likely, I don't see a king around here. And for now, we can test that by just typing it in. So if you say king talk, it's probably going to say, I don't see a king around here. King ask. See, and here's the thing. The reason that I'm concerned is because I'm basically writing an exception to that rule for please. Because please is such a weird word and needs to be interpreted in this game as talk. But that's not how please is actually meant to be used. So, king talk? Yeah, I don't see a king around here. Jeez. But please king. Oh, jeez, this has so many terrible connotations. Yeah. Talk king. All of that's going to say I don't see anything around here. I don't actually remember if I can talk to myself. I doubt it. I don't think it has that. That's why it says you can't do that. So we have a weird situation here. Normally, this would not be an issue. I wouldn't need to worry about having the speak word come after the noun for validation purposes. It's purely because of please that I have to think about this. Is there a way around this? I cannot think of a pattern of grammar or speech that basically would make sense here. Because it comes down to the fact that please has to be treated like a speaking verb. Because I can already tell you that there have been multiple people who interacted with the troll have typed please move. And that should work. So this is really problematic. The problematic part isn't that please move is a thing. The problematic part is that move please is a thing. Ask to move please, ask to please move. Both valid, both work now. Please move and move please, those should be valid, they're not, and they don't work right now. Ask to move, valid, works. Move to ask, pretty sure that doesn't. I guess I will double check that, but I'm like 90% sure that it doesn't. Yeah, I was actually going to say, it's probably going to say that. There are too many verbs in that sentence. Just to be sure, I'm going to test it against the troll. I don't think that the troll actually overwrites parser sort of determinations, but to ask. Right, but ask to move is correct. So, this is just infuriating. Please is the only speaking verb that would ever come after another verb. Because otherwise it doesn't make grammatical sense. Grammatical? I think that's correct. It doesn't make sense. Move to ask does not really mean ask to move. That's actually a really bad example too, because move to ask means to move. Or I'm sorry, means to ask, in a weird English phrase, I guess. In any case, let's try something like, oh, I don't want to try punch because that would start a battle. Um, let's do examine to ask, or ask to examine. Oh, oh no, that's correct. I was like, wait, what? It's like, yeah, no, that's correct because it was a phrase it didn't recognize. Um, so, yeah. Then we have the weird situation of if you type examine, please, then examine. Wow, that was terrible. Please. The troll looks fearsomely mindless. Right. And then versus please examine, which is also going to give you the same thing. Please is just such an infuriating word. So the reason that I'm getting so hung up on this is because even though I can make a parser, I can make the parser easily handle this, please examine. That just involves looking at partial and whole verbs for a speaking verb before we actually set the verb for the sentence. But the problem is this, because I'm willing to bet there will be at least one person who's going to say, move please, to this troll, instead of please move. And they will be frustrated because it didn't work. And they won't know that maybe the troll can actually move if you just type please move. So I have to be able to handle that. I don't want to write a special exception for please. Like, I specifically do not want to have a hard-coded check for please and say if please is afterwards, give it the verb. Or make the verb please. I do not want to do that. So, for now, we can get the first half working. So we can get please examine to work. That part is simple. We can do that. All right. So here's where it's going to be a little fun. Let's see. Do we want to do sentence verb? No. Alright, so we're going to do a for int I equals 0. I is less than verbs dot count I plus plus. Let's see. And let's also do for int I equals 0. I is less than verbs, possible verbs, not count, plus plus. All right, and we're going to say if verbs of I dot verb type is equal to verb type dot speak, then we're going to do something. Same thing here. And the real question is, what do I do here? Because this is now happening before these two checks, so I have to take into account that those still exist. I mean, I guess we could do this. And sentence dot verb is equal to null. So I hate move ask just barely makes sense from someone who speaks English. and from someone who speaks a language in general. It's the most basic thing. Move ask can be interpreted as I'm asking you to move. But then it gets so weird with things like move talk, move speak. It's it's infuriating. For now, this is going to also handle the please in a secondary place. It's not the end of the world if people notice that you can type odd things into the parser, but it does diminish, I think, my personal abilities as a programmer somewhat. That I can't think of this. It's fine. I'll just have to depend on human nature to not get that. Similar to how, actually right now, if you type the, it's a valid sentence because the is basically ignored. Same with a. Or that, I think. In any case, we're going to say sentence dot verb is equal to verbs of I. Then cached verb is equal to sentence dot verb. All right, and then we're going to break out, actually. So we're going to break. And that means that we have to wrap this whole thing in if sentence dot verb is equal to null. Because we don't want to bother with this otherwise. Same thing right here. Possible verbs. Is that correct? Yeah, I think so. So ironically, actually, having the verb validation in a previous step will protect me here. At least protect me somewhat. Alright, so now is the time to check it. See if please move will work. So please move. There we go. So alternatively, actually, let's also type move please. Yep, there we go. Okay, so please move, please king, which is Huh. Please king. There were no verbs in that. Oh. Yeah. That. That's actually not bad. Because please king, I was expecting it to treat it as talk about king, but contextually saying, in real life, please king, does not mean talk about the king. That means one of two things. One is, you're saying, please, king. So you're asking someone, please. And the other one is, please the king. So I actually don't think it's a bad thing that there were no verbs in this sentence, because it doesn't make sense. You're not going to be talking to a troll and say, please, king. Unless the guy's name is King. In which case, you're just saying, like, please. So interesting. So let's try ask to please move. Good. Ask to move, please. Okay. Did we get please move and please move please? Next. Move please. Good. That unfortunately means we can still do this. Move ask. And ask move, which is barely a sentence, but it's technically correct. So, okay. So I guess I'm going to lean on players simply not trying to do this, sort of a weird grammar, which is actually a fairly good assumption. Right now, technically, if I wanted to, I could say troll examine, and the parser knows that I'm trying to examine the troll. So it's not actually verb noun, it's anything really. It's a lot more flexible than that. So I can say examine troll. Both of those are valid. But much less people are going to type troll examine than examine troll. And that's just because troll examine doesn't make grammatical sense. At least not in English. In English, we have verbs then nouns. Not nouns then verbs. Or at least very rarely do we have nouns then verbs. Because usually when you have someone talking with noun then verb, they're talking sort of like old timey, like King Richard who slayed the, so on and so on. Okay, so I think I can live with this for now. You know what I just realized? I'm going to have to put in an invert option, I think, for scrolling. No, never mind. I don't think I'll have to. I think the hardware does that for me, so never mind. Right. All right, so we have it working. That is unexpected. So I guess it's fine. It's a little frustrating, but I think it's fine for our parser to accept that any verb in a sentence that happens to be speaking should be the verb of the sentence. Although we do get weird situations like this. Talk, or ask to talk. Which, that's not bad. Can I do ask about Rex? Okay, I wasn't sure if I could do non-standard words with the speaking stuff. I think that only works if I do this. If I say, say Rex. Oh, wait, really? Oh, okay. Right. That's, I remember now. Right. So the quotes basically are meant to be you speaking, basically. So in theory, wow, I can't type tonight. I really can't type tonight. Like that technically should work. I made it 10 times harder on myself now. Because anytime you use quotation marks, it's basically going to treat it as if you were physically saying it. So I probably should hook that somehow into my conversation system. Hey, it's a never-ending battle. Okay. Well, in any case, we did get everything that I was expecting to have done already. That took a lot less time than I was expecting. So, hooray! Let's move on, I guess, to hooking this in then, trying to get it to work. I honestly don't even know how we can make this work. Because it's already kind of an abstract mechanic, having quotes around a phrase to imply that you're saying them. So I almost... God, this is going to be a horrific edit. I almost want this, whenever you type, quotes and then whatever you say, it's going to do a couple of things. First off, it's going to see if you're interacting with anything. If you are interacting with something, it's going to say, it should output not just move please, but also it should be, geez, how do I want to phrase this? if you're interacting with something, it should basically say you tell the X to, and then you get this whole thing. So you'd say you tell the troll to move, please, and then we would get whatever reaction the troll would had to that, or would have to that. That's terrible. Whatever. So in that case, it would be treated as just saying move, please. So that means that when you're interacting with a character, it needs to check what to do with that phrase. And oh my goodness, this is just crazy. If you're not interacting with anything, then it probably should say something like you mutter, or you mutter aloud, or a, whatever random phrase it chooses, like you mutter aloud, or you quietly speak, or you say, or you say aloud, and then whatever. Goodness gracious me, this is really going to be somewhat complex, I think. But it will be very satisfying if that works. Okay, so, oh boy. Yeah, about that. Check for commands, set joint words. I believe I'm looking for quotes, specifically. Set multiple sentences, format output, result. Receive input. Unknown words. Set parser. Checking homages. String.split. Let's see. Receive input. Here it is. So if it starts with a quote and ends with a quote, either single or double, then it's just going to straight output it. Jeez. This is not going to be easy. So currently, all it does is just spits it back out at you, basically. We're going to have to change that. Okay. This is terrible. Okay. Let me think. How do I want to present this? So this is the base stuff. Let's see. If cached subjects dot length. Oops, it's an array or a list dot count is greater than 0. Else. Oh dear. For now, we're going to do something specific, I guess. So let's go ahead and say string builder output. Do I really care about it being a string builder? It probably can just be a string. String output is equal to that. Let's go ahead and copy this line. Result. We're resetting cached info and sentence info, not interaction info, which is fine. Let's see here. Or interacting objects, I believe. Dot count is greater than 0. So that's cached subjects are subjects that were in your previous sentence versus interacting objects, which is the objects that you're currently interacting with. And we're only going to examine those two things. Because if it's neither of those things, you probably weren't saying it to anyone specific. So let's go ahead and say output results. Output. Okay, and we're going to say output is equal to plus input. So we're going to say you murmur. Is that how you spell murmur? Or is it UR? It's UR, not ER. I think it's murmur. What I spelled, I did it again. Murmur. You murmur aloud. Does that make sense? You murmur aloud. You speak aloud plus input. Alright, that's probably fine. Versus this, in which case, oh boy. So, this is great. There are a couple of ways I can handle this. One, I can have it specifically look for characters in the interactions, either cache subjects or interacting objects. And then if it finds one, pick the first one and use that. Or I can have a function that I add to interactive objects that basically checks a word. That's kind of... The only reason I might like that is because I can imagine that there are things that would activate if you say something to them, but they're not characters. So long term, that actually might be preferable, but I'm not really that crazy about this stuff. So contains word, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. All right. For now, I'm not going to do the more complicated thing. I think I am just going to go ahead and test, like look for a character specifically. Otherwise, we'll just have our output be you speak aloud, blah, blah, blah. So for now, let's go ahead and just actually set that to be the default. There we go. I don't need any extra. So we don't need an else here anymore. It's just going to be in the if. So let's see. We're going to say cache subjects. What are these? This is interactive objects. Good. Interactive object character equal to null. For int I equals 0, I is less than cached subjects dot count I plus plus. If cached subjects of I is character, then we will break out and we'll say character is equal to cached subjects of I. All right. Then we're going to say if character is equal to null, do the same thing just for our interacting objects. All right. Then at the end here, we're going to say if character does not equal null, output is equal to, and I know this is not going to do anything right now, because I actually need to have some oddities going on here. I'm going to have to add a function inside of character that will basically check if a sentence has a couple of words. So that's great. But for now, we're going to say you ask. Oh, crud. So here we get some oddities. If you type king in quotes, then and you're talking to the troll, then he should respond, you know, you ask, or the phrase probably should say, you ask about king. Versus if you ask please move, you ask the troll to blah blah blah. So that's great. Um, okay. Well, let's go ahead and let's see. Char character dot name plus input. All right. So we're gonna say two. Okay. So I'm curious. Speak aloud to yourself. We'll just say you speak aloud. Probably need to come up with a better phrase, but I think for now that's going to do the job. Okay then, let's go ahead and clear this out. Play. I get some weird effects here, I'm willing to bet. Ask about king. What would you like to ask? Okay, good. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry, that wasn't what I wanted to try. King. You speak aloud. King. Alright. Probably should add a period after that. So we can say that. Let's go ahead and try this. King. You speak aloud, king. Good. Okay. King. You ask the troll to king. Yeah, that doesn't quite make sense. Again, it would be better if it was you ask the troll about king. But then we have situations like this. Please move. You ask the troll to please move. Please move. Or move, please, I suppose. We also have problems with our suggestions, which is rather annoying. So when you type, it's going to give you suggestions on words that you can use. But if you start with a quote, that's not going to happen because it searches that information based on the stuff you're typing and then separates it by spaces. That actually won't work until I have a space, huh? Oh, no, it does. Okay, there we go. It's because I had the quote. Bleh. So, move, please. Please move. So, we're close. You asked the troll to king. You asked the troll to please move. I honestly don't know if I can get context without parsing the sentence that you're trying to say anyway. So I would have to weirdly parse the sentence as a sub-sentence and say, is this sentence a full sentence? Does it only have nouns? Does it have verbs? And if it has a verb, it probably should say, you ask the X to Y. If it doesn't have verbs, then you probably should just say, you ask the X about Y. Huh. That's gross. Because, especially again, we get into situations like this. You ask the troll to light. Light is a verb and a noun, and since there's no other noun in that sentence, it would say you ask the troll to light instead of you ask the troll about light. Man, this is a wonderful, wonderful rabbit hole. And I really, really, really do not want to parse those sentences because they are meant to allow for nonsensical things. So it needs to be able to determine basically, or at least skip words that it doesn't understand. Because like you saw here, I could type something like, do I actually have force? I do have force as a thing. Like I could say, may the force be with you. And you ask the troll to, may the force be with you. See, and here's another actual situation where It probably should say more, you tell the troll, may the force be with you. Which is even better because that means that I can't specify ask or tell very easily. Because when should it say you ask the troll to or you tell the troll about? Ah, man, that is so brutal. And I honestly do not know a good. I don't know a good solution to this. Well, that's not great. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know what to do here. Okay. Jeez. All right. For now, let's go ahead and add a function to character. It's going to be public. I guess we'll do it virtual. It's probably fine to just be void. Check phrase. I was gonna say, do I already have something called check phrase? Didn't think so. This could either be a string. Let's have it be a sentence, actually. No, that doesn't make sense, because I'm not parsing that into a sentence. Oof! Okay. String phrase. I guess I'm gonna have to do it this way. Let's do string words is equal to phrase dot trim for quotes as well as hold on. That's apparently not correct. How was I doing it up here? In parser. Oh. Okay. Hurrah. Can I also do that? Oh, good, I can. Dot trim and then dot split based off of a white space, which I believe is the correct way to do this. Is input, yeah, it's just a string. Hold on, check homages, dictionary, blah 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 blah. Split. Right, we do it based on commas and everything else as well, but we don't actually care about that, so I just want to make sure that's correct. White space. Let's see. So we're splitting it into words that it can then recognize, and then we're just going to say basically this. Phrases.count. This is going to be words. Length. All right. Contains word. Oh dear. Please tell me that I was smart and thought ahead. Well, wait, hold on. Words of I. Nope. Go figure. Peak definition. All right. All right. Give me a second here. Public bool contains word string word. Let's see. Return words dot first or default w dot to lower is equal to word dot to lower does not equal null. Alright. So let's go ahead and close that off. Good, that's correct now. We are not going to output phrases right now. Oh, jeez. Yeah, I think that's actually going to be a thing. So we're going to say string check phrase, and I know it's going to be complaining. Return that for now. We don't care about you. We don't care about you. Oh my goodness. Do we care about you? Oh jeez. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Get verb. Verb type dot speak. This is probably not going to turn out well. Let's see. We don't. Oh. Sorry. Apparently I was completely thrown off by an extra. There we go. Get rid of this. And instead we're going to say return. Hold on. What did I get rid of? Just return nothing. Here we go. The output result is what I want here. So, dear oh dear. The reason that I'm having it return its string phrase instead of actually saying it itself is because if I'm checking, you need to make sure that we actually say, well, no. All right. This is fine, I think, actually. So we'll make this void. And then it won't do anything here. Contains word, parser.output, result. I think we're correct here. All right. So let's go back to parser, and we're going to say up here. Crud. I have no way of knowing if it's going to be correct. No, that's fine. Actually, that's fine. Character does not equal null, then this is what we want. So after this output result, we're going to want to say if character up and character is a thing. So let's go ahead and put this up here. A little unfortunate, but we'll have to live with it. If character does not equal null, then we'll say character dot check phrase see, I knew it. I knew we had a check phrase. I thought it sounded correct. Well, in any case, we're going to change this to character, I suppose. Which is unfortunate because now I'm going to have to do this as character. I hate doing casts like this. So character.checkPhrase input. Okay. I'm curious to see what happens here. I think this will do what I want. It's also very weird and like held together with bubble gum and popsicle sticks. So let's take a stab at this. Okay, so let's run up over here. You know what I think I forgot to do? I forgot to readjust the volume on my desktop audio. Or maybe I didn't. It's at -10. Okay. A little worried. I'm going to try not having the audio muted. And hopefully it won't drive you people crazy. If it is annoying, just let me know. Because it's kind of annoying to me. Which probably means I need to redo it. So we're going to say king. Got an index out of range exception. Okay. What happened here? Parser character line 25. Okay, character line 25. Phrases of I. Oh, that should be words J. Okay. That was my fault. Okay. Try that again. Let's try that again. Clear that. I said clear it. Clear it, essay. There we go. All right. I actually do like the reverb in here. Let's go ahead and say king. Yes! I mean, it's not grammatically correct at all, but it is doing stuff. Please move. Please move. Ha ha ha! Yes! Yes! Okay. I'm going to mute this again. Sorry. The sound of trickling water is fine, but not when I'm trying to think to myself. I probably need to turn the volume down on those. On the water. It's a little annoying. Let's see. Please move. Please move. Max's friend. You ask the troll to king. You ask the troll to please move. And just please move. That's really good, actually. Okay. So... Let me think. So the only way that I could really implement the more extensive version of this check is to have the base interactive class have a check phrase option or function, and basically, you know, whatever needs to override it can override it, like character. But for the most part, what base interactive object would probably do is just send out a object interacted or object spoken to event that will pass a string and the object being interacted with. And again, the only reason that I really want to have that is so that I can do things like there's a wall that will open when you say a word to it, in which case it doesn't need to be a character. It doesn't make sense for it to be a character. So I think we can do that. Let's go to interactive object, which is a monster class. I know that. I think it's actually zoomed out farther. That's just me. There's just a lot more to it. So we're going to go all the way up to the top. And we're going to do, let's see, public virtual string description, public bool, check name, check plurals, check adjectives, check adjectives. Here we are. All right. So let's go ahead and have public void. Should I make it a bool? I'll have it be a bool for now. Check phrase, or key phrase, I think is what I'm going to call it. String phrase. That's going to be public virtual bool. Let's see. And for that, we're going to say, I need an event, actually, up here. So let's see, direct, indirect, blah, blah, blah. All right. Let's have public delegate void speak event, interactive object interaction, then a string, which is going to be the phrase, I guess. All right. Speak event. Let's see, I need an actual event. So we're going to say public event, speak event, speak success is equal to delegate. All right. So we're going to have speak success. That's going to happen down here. Speak success, this, and phrase. Maybe I should just have this be bool. Because for now, I don't really know what would return true or false. The only thing I could think is that it should basically return true or false in situations like the character, where it could say, yes, this key phrase actually means something to me. But then, what do I do with that? Because I would have to basically do a weird forced verb success, and it just doesn't really work. So I'm going to make that void. I'm going to come up here. This is going to be override check. Okay. Check key phrase. All right. And I think that's fine. The parser is going to break now because I didn't do that the correct way. Check key phrase input. And let me think. So let's make character an interactive object again. We can get rid of this. Okay. And let me think. I'm trying to think through sort of the odd contextual situations that the parser needs to assume things. What would be the preferred behavior there? I don't think you're ever really going to have a situation where you're talking with a character, as in you're interacting with them, but you just tried to talk to something in your pouch, or your inventory. But now that I've said that, of course, maybe that is a possibility later on. So, that's great. Let me think. So currently we're looping through looking specifically for characters, but after we do that, we probably should do this. If, I guess we won't do an if there, we'll just do an else. And then we'll say the output won't need to change, but we will try to assign character to be basically whatever is first, either in cache subjects or interacting objects. Probably cache subjects. So let's see. If cached subjects dot count is greater than 0, then we'll say character is equal to cache subjects of 0. Else, if interacting objects dot count is greater than 0, character equals interacting objects of 0. All right. So I think we're good. As a test, let's see. I have an invalid cast exception? Or is that an error that I had that I fixed? Let's see here. Let's go ahead and clear this stuff. Huh. That's interesting. Oh, that's the rumble effect stuff. Yeah, I've seen that. I don't know why that's there. I'll have to look at that. in any case. All right. So when we come up to the troll, go ahead and come up here. Actually, no. Before we do that, so let me just say, king. Okay, you speak aloud. King. King. Good. And if it's a character, there we go. So the idea here is that if you are interacting with something and you type, this phrase to insinuate that you're speaking it aloud, then it should still speak it aloud, but you shouldn't speak it to the thing you're interacting with unless it's a character, because you don't converse with an object. You can talk to it, admittedly, but I think it's a little bit better if it actually says you speak aloud, whatever. So for example, do I have anything? I have myself. So I can say examine self, and then I'm actually kind of curious to see what will happen. King. Oops. King. Oh, right. I bet self isn't being cached, which kind of makes sense. So just out of, probably because it's looking at the object I'm examining right now. So if I say examine self and then eat self, cannibalism isn't the answer. I actually don't remember how I cache my nouns. I think my nouns are only, I thought they were cached if you interacted with it and did a sentence on it, but it might actually be cleared after a successful sentence. I think it only caches it in a failed sentence context. So if I did self and then eat, nope, I guess not, because it was failed. Yeah, cache subjects, I know it's a thing, and I know that I have specific cases for it. I just don't remember what they are. It might be situations where you have things like drop key, and if you have 5 keys, it's going to ask you which key did you mean, and then you'll be able to loop through that and specify. I think it's used there, because it's basically, cache subjects are meant to be stored in the back end, so you never have to think about them, and then they're just used whenever you need them. But overall, anyway, so if I say move, speak aloud, move, speak aloud, move, probably need to get some periods in there or something. Move, because it's kind of a trailing sentence right now. Okay, so let's do some minor cleanup, and then we'll probably call it a day. Minor cleanup is going to basically be, let's see. This is going to be fun. This is going to be fun. So output is a string. All right. Can I do dot insert, or is that a void function? Oh, good. Okay. So dot insert. Start index is actually going to be input dot length -2, I believe. And the string value is just going to be period. All right. I think that's correct. Right. So the reason I'm doing that is because proper sentence structure requires that periods be inside of quotation marks, not outside of quotation marks, which I know a lot of people will do, including myself. But I think grammatically is that grammar? Because it's not words, it's punctuation. But grammar, I think, includes punctuation. Either way, the point is that periods don't come after quotation marks, they come within them. That didn't work. Oh, whoops. Right. Okay. So I gotta do this. Oh, even worse. I actually need to check to make sure that they're that they don't already have a period or an exclamation point or a question mark. Ah! Darn it. Okay. So let me. Okay, let me think. Output. This is only assigned to really, and there's only 2 spots. I really want to do this in one concatenation though, so this is great. And this is just one of those minor details that drives me nuts if I don't put it in there. So we're gonna have to say if input of input.length minus 2 is equal to period. Actually, that's a char, isn't it? So I have to do period. Question mark. Is it not equal to that? If that's the case, then we also have to ask, is it not equal to an exclamation point? And then once more, is it not equal to a question mark? Okay. And then else input. So hold on, this is going to be weird. We have to do this whole thing wrapped. And is that doesn't make sense. That's 3 nested. I hate doing nested I forget what these are called. Comparisons like this. It's really messy, but for now it should be right. No, it's not right. I have a squiggle. Oh, I need an extra. What? Yep, there it is. All right. How wonderful. If it's not equal to this, then let me wrap them so that it makes sense to me. I think it's pretty much always just going to be like colon input and then colon input, basically. Is that correct? Yeah, that's pretty much correct. I will wrap these though because I like to be thorough. All right, so let's let that compile and then let's give it a shot. I'm pretty sure that will get everything, but yeah, there's little touches like that are what I really enjoy doing in games. So I won't apologize for for being crazy like that, or maybe I should. I don't know. Let's go ahead and play. Give this a shot. And all right, I guess we can just do this. So move period. Speak aloud. Move. Shite. All right. So that's going to be 1. Right. -1. Yes. Okay. So that should be fine. Which does actually mean that I need to. Gross. I would have to do that same check here. It's just not very fun. Okay. For now, I'm more concerned with getting it to work than actually getting that to look nice. Alrighty then. So we have king period, king, exclamation point. Oh, that's actually a shame. This should probably, king should, with an exclamation point, should probably be treated like this. Oh. That's interesting. I do not understand the words king and quote. Oh, that's right. It's because it's separating it. Yeah, if you end a sentence with, so examine self with an exclamation point, it capitalizes everything, and king with an exclamation point inside the quotes should probably be treated like that. But anyway, so one more, king question mark. Speak aloud, king. All right, we got a lot of stuff done in a lot of weird ways today. That's probably a pretty good place to stop, just considering that everything needs to be cleaned up quite a bit. So, please move, please, ask to please move. Oh my gosh. Ah! Right. Right. I'm just gonna not bother with that for this one. That should handle it. Yeah. Oh man. That is a lot of weird mechanics that I'm going to need to polish up. The main reason I'm polishing this stuff up all right now is because Indie PopCon is coming up, and PopCon is the first convention that I ever showed TextQuest at. And this will be its 4th year there. It's been there every year that PopCon has so far, which tells you how long I've been doing this. And I always like showing up with new stuff for people to play. And this time it's actually a fairly it's not nearly as dramatic a change from last year, or from last year as last year's was from the year before that. This is mostly going to be a lot of subtle mechanics, I think. In any case, so we can, what was it? We can say, please move, please, ask to please move. Okay. 3 different ways to do the same thing, and I know that for some people that's going to be saying, well, why did you bother? But the main reason is that the more ways you allow people to do things, the better time people are going to have, because it means that they won't get pigeonholed into one way of writing. And everyone, I can tell you definitely from watching at conventions, everyone just has sort of their own unique way of speaking and thinking, that when they type these things down and they have a phrase that when you hear it out loud as a person, makes sense to you, even if you would never really use that particular order. But if it doesn't work in the game, they get frustrated. They don't understand why it doesn't work because it's a valid thing to them, and therefore it should be valid. So the more ways that I can open up to allow people to say the same thing, the better experience that people will have overall. And that's one of my big concerns here is we're dabbling with text-based adventures, and if I don't make this very intuitive, people are going to just be immediately turned off unless they expect it, unless they expect that level of, difficulty in interpretations. So, this is, hey, let's go ahead and get some screenshots. Okay. Yeah. What should I type here? There we go. Okay, that's pretty good, I think. Do I have any other announcements for today? None really off the top of my head. Let's see. Saturday we should be back doing our regular Saturday dev stream. So we'll be doing some more custom content creation stuff. And we'll see where that takes us on Saturday. But for now, I want to thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you all next time.